Welcome to my new project. I've been working on this for about a week, and I'm down to the painting part, the part I hate the worst. I'd rather build 10 of anything than to paint one of them. But I'm into the paint process, and as you can see here, like right here, yesterday I did a masking job. What we have to do now is paint. This right here, I got a wind speed indicator. This comes off like this. This lifts off. I have to paint it again. It's going to be black and red, and as you can see, the red yesterday, one coat didn't really cover the black, so I have to do another coat today. And I'm going to coat here and here. This mast right here has to be painted. I'm trying to get a black and white theme. I mean a black and red theme. If this doesn't work, what I'm afraid of is that when I peel, like right here, when I peel the this off, the paint might come with it, and we'll have chipping and cracking or a bad edge. And we don't want that. But it works pretty good. If we had wind right now, this thing would be moving around. But what I have is, this is a funnel that you would put oil in a car with. I cut it off even in the back. Then I put a piece of steel, piece of rebar, well, probably 8 or 10 inches long to fill this up. And then I filled it up with resin. And this right here is just galvanized conduit. Electrical conduit, galvanized. Right here, what you see here is a stack of washers, heavy duty washers. Had an inside diameter of 3/4 and an outside diameter of about 2 inches, 1.5, 2 inches. And I got a stack of them, and the reason for that was to move the center of gravity this way. So this thing is going to rotate around here, but it has real gentle movement. What I did is I took a fan, one of these fans that's Yard Art, spinning fans. I found one that had 5 feathers coming off the center. So I just cut the feathers off, and where the rods were, the stem was where the feather hooked on. I took these. If you can see, these are PVC caps that would go on PVC pipes. And I drilled a hole through this side, drilled a hole through that side. I took the stem from the leaf right here and threaded it through. And then I mixed up resin and silica, and I filled up each cavity to where it covered the stem going through, and it's balanced. But I was talking about, there's a bearing right here. This bearing right here, I packed it, I cleaned it, I packed it with grease. I'm going to protect it from the weather, but it sits on here like this, and when the wind blows, it's going to blow it like that. So what we're going to have is, we're going to have some. And this is a piece of funnel that's going to cover all the mechanism. It turns, this funnel turns with the arrow. And again, this is like the old genre movies when we were kids, where they took the plastic surgery, they took the crook or the person or the woman, she had plastic surgery, and this, when they pulled all the bandages off, it was always a big deal when they pulled the bandages off to see what. if the surgery came out right. Well, that's what I'm going to be doing here when I pull all this masking tape on. I'm going to attempt today to put on another coat of paint to make sure it's really dense red. This, and then when I get done, I have to, right here, I have to do this monkey motion on the other side. So I got another day of work there and painting the mask. But what we're going to have, what we will have out here on the on my yard is I will always know. Oh, and this is another thing. This screws on the top right here. That bearing mechanism, I can screw that tight and she still spins. Any amount of wind will get it to spin, and this thing right here has such a gentle, because there's so much weight up here. I probably got 5 pounds of weight, 3 or 4 pounds of weight up here just ahead of this pivot point. And then, you know, moment is weight times distance, because I have so much distance from here to here. I don't have that much weight, but it balances out. But once I get it all mounted for good, it's going to be all cemented with epoxy, and hopefully it will be well received, that the golfers can look up here and they can see which way the wind is blowing, and they can see how fast it's going. If the wind is coming from the northeast, they got a following wind that day, and this thing is really cranking, maybe they ought to back off a club or two, because they've got a lot of help. But if the opposite, if it's like this, and they're going right into the wind, and it's going like that fast, they better club up, okay? They better club up. But, like I said, that's what I've got going. I've been working on it for a week or two. This stuff right here, this is all the galvanized half-inch, I think it's half-inch, galvanized half-inch pipe. Here, here, here. This is the conduit. But let's see how this video came out. Let's see if we're still taping. Okay, this is Friday, 7th or 8th of April 2022, and this is the end product. You're looking at what represents about, oh, I started probably 2 weeks ago building that Windvane, an anemometer, which is a wind speed indicator, and it's just a visual indication, no readout. But this is what happens when you got too much time on your hands, and this is the second one I built like this in the last 10 years. About 10 years ago I built one, and but this one, that the nose cone is a black funnel. I've got it black, painted black and red. Right now, I'll take a video later when the wind shifts, but right now the wind is coming out of the, I'll show you where it sits. I'll back off and show you where we are. Okay. That's looking out my kitchen window, the sliding door in my kitchen, looking at the lake, the yard. I just put that up to this about an hour and a half ago. I spent the last 2 days painting it. And I made a video before painting, but it's working pretty good. The wind predominantly for the last hour and a half has come out of the east. Usually in the evening it shifts and comes out of the west or southwest. So right now we're getting a really good look at the port side of the arrow, or of the Windvane, the port side on the left side of it. But when the wind shifts this afternoon, we'll probably get a really good look at the other side. And I'm going to zoom in on different parts right now. I'm going to zoom in on a little anemometer, is it? Wind speed indicator. That's working pretty good. I'll back off. But what that is PVC end caps that go on the inside end of a PVC pipe to terminate it. And with the magic of epoxy and an old wind spinner from some yard art that had a bearing in it. Okay, now let's see if we can get in on the tail. It's moving, see how it's moving, but I went with a black and red theme. There's probably too much red. You don't need a lot of red. I probably could have got away with a lot less, especially on the tail, but we'll see. But everything is riding on a bearing. That right there is a bearing, and that's riding on a bearing. So it should run like this for a long, long time. Unattended. Unattended. That thing is just going to do its thing unattended for a long, long time. I know the other one that I built, I gave it to a member of the family, my niece, put it in her yard, and they don't touch it. They don't even touch it. They don't have to do anything to maintain it, and that thing is working like a champ, like the first day I built it. And this one will too. This one, you don't have to do anything to it from now on. It'll just sit here and spin whether we're here or not. But it was some work. I got sick of working on it after a while. I could have spent a lot more time painting it, but that's enough. I did enough, and hopefully it will be appreciated. At least it might take a long time to get noticed by the golfers, but one of these days somebody's going to look up here, and they're either going to like it or not like it. But when they get to this hole, at least the ladies are going to be able to see which way the wind's blowing and a kind of a measure of how fast it's blowing. If that thing is spinning pretty good, you got, like right now, all the golfers today have a following wind. The wind is right at their back all day long. And they're going for a short pin on the left. But if you get up there as a man and you look up here and the thing is, you got the wind to your back and this thing is spinning pretty good, you might want to back off a little bit on your club. Anyway, I'm rambling, so I'm going to stop and I'm going to start this up again when the thing starts spinning the other way. Or it starts pointing the other way, and that should be around sometime this evening or this afternoon. The wind will shift. I might have to wait until morning. Usually the wind comes out of this direction in the morning. That's it. Okay, this is going to be the last little segment that I put with the videos. I had to wait all day, and finally the wind turned. This morning the wind was coming from the east like yesterday, but finally this is typical afternoon southwest wind. It's coming right out of the southwest. It's blowing hard. It's like the 4 o'clock, after around 4 o'clock in the afternoon wind that you get every afternoon. This morning it was blowing the other way, but this is the other side of it, the starboard side of the wind vane, and it's working pretty good. As you can see, it's blowing pretty hard. That little wind spinner is really going, but it's let's see, what time is it? It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's been windy. They predicted the wind. The weather people said it was going to be high winds today, and we're supposed to drop in temperature. But there it is. That's been my project for about 2 weeks off and on. And I never mentioned, but that tail piece, that part of the tail feathers, was a just a serving tray, a tin serving tray that or cookie sheet type tin that I bought at Goodwill for about 99 cents. And the what I did to get it into the conduit is I took my Dremel tool with a cutter head on it, and I cut a slit on the top and the bottom of the conduit, and then I slipped the tin tray in between, and I've got it held in there with about 4 pieces, at 4 different places of safety wires, stainless steel safety wire. I just poked a hole on each side of the conduit and doubled up some safety wire and safety wired and then covered it with a fillet of caulking or epoxy to make it look smooth. But that's how it's held together, and another thing, that is how the arrow is held on to the mast. I'll zoom in, but whoops. Right there at the top of that funnel, above that red stripe, that's a bearing. It was a wind spinner bearing, and I cut a saddle in the bearing to fit the conduit in, and after I got the conduit sitting in this little saddle, I drilled holes through it and safety wired. So I've got like 3 or 4 layers of stainless steel safety wire holding the conduit, and it's taut. It's tight. It's never going to go. And then I backed that up with epoxy, and that's what you have around it. You see that epoxy fillet that I covered up the safety wire and painted it. But that's how it's held together. I don't think it'll ever come apart. I don't think the bearings are ever going to wear out because there's not that much stress on them. That wind spinner, I'm very proud of that. I had no idea how that was going to turn out. It was just first time I ever tried to make one, and it came out great. But that just shows you the type of wind. Now, show you where we are. I'm on the signature hole, the 6-hole signature hole, par 3, the Sundance Golf Course. And those are the tee boxes right there. They had a hole-in-one contest today with the local Ford dealer. Had a couple of cars out there. And I got to move the camera, but you see people walking off the green. There's the green. Okay? But that's where we are. And like I said, this is typical day in, day out. About as we approach the afternoon on a windy day, it's coming out of this west and southwest at a really good clip. But this little project has kept me busy, kept me off the street. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I didn't spend a lot of money. So, but this is the end. I'm going to go download this now and put the video together and get it on YouTube. Seward's Windvane.